is how your brain is your largest sex organ. Your orgasm is actually experienced in your brain, not your genitals. Surprise, surprise. That's really good news, because as long as you have a brain and at least a portion of your spinal cord, you can experience orgasm. To experience orgasm, sensations in the body, whether felt or imagined, our mind is so powerful, sends signals up the spinal cord or along that vagus nerve to your brain. If you recognize these stimuli and interpret them as pleasurable, the brain will initiate a physical response of increased blood flow to the genitals, also known as arousal. As the increased experience and focus on the pleasurable physical and emotional sensations, as those feed back to the brain and create this pleasure loop, continued arousal response will follow. If you give and allow the building pleasure wave to flow, your brain will eventually have a blast of electrical activity that triggers your physical spasms of ecstasy. Ooh, we know that feels so good. While you may feel spasms in the body, the experience of orgasm is actually happening in your brain. Pretty mind-blowing, right? In the brain with neuroplasticity, and with my male clients and my female clients, when we want to experience pleasure in a different way, but I'm just going to use males as an example here because it's like really common in males, but it happens in both. When we are teenagers and we first start to masturbate, we do things very quickly to get from point A to point B without being caught by our parents or being shamed. And then we repeat that same way, and we deepen that groove in our brain the more we repeat that cycle. So then we get used to having an orgasm very quickly. And that's why you'll see a lot of times females, they can have an orgasm on their own, but they're not able to have an orgasm with their partner, because we've learned within our body and with pleasure mapping and knowing our bodies just the things to do, we can go down that same path again and quickly get to having that result. Also for males, if they're used to experiencing pleasure this way quickly, then the more they repeat that, the deeper and the deeper that groove is in the brain. So when I work with my male clients, I work with them on things with nutrition to help improve neuroplasticity and to create new pleasure pathways, and for females too, so you can have longer, more intense orgasms and start to create new pleasure pathways in your body. Meditation really helps with that.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep traveling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.